one thing I like to reminisce about, Vic, how many times, and more so me than you, did we put ourselves in actual danger? Like physical danger. You can go back and look at some of those shows, and I remember this again like it was yesterday. I think we were up towards Banff or something, but we went to a ski resort.
Yeah, no, that was in that was like Cyprus or
okay, it wasn't all the way in Banff.
Yeah,
but it was snowing, and the ski lift wasn't working, and we literally, our camera crew and everything, we put one of the ski lift things up onto the cables, and we had got on this completely unsafe, and we're about 20 feet up in the air doing this view, and then I'm like, look, the snow looks pretty deep. For the final shot, I want to be hanging off the ski lift. I'm going to let go, and I am going to fall, and I might die, but at least it's on film. And we did it, and it was real, and you could see me. But I jumped off buildings. We did so much.
Wow.
Even in the intros for the segments in our studio, you were always throwing yourself around. You're doing your own stuff. You were awesome with that.
Stuntman.
But even the
Tommy the
demo
Stuntman.
stuff that we shot, we had Cuba Gooding Jr. Remember the Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Oh gosh, I forgot about this.
And Tommy and Cuba Gooding Jr. were talking about one of the NHL hockey games at the time, and they got into like a on the ice kind of fight, and then this was before we were on the air.
Oh,
so
shit.
Cuba Gooding Jr. donated his time to us, and it was super cool. We didn't have this air anywhere, but I had this idea of, well, what if he's kind of knocks you over, and then you ever see that John Belushi on the ice thing where the camera, or it was, no, who's the other big guy, Chris Farley on the ice, where the camera
spins around.
and he's just spinning on the ice, and it's just sliding around, and he's, oh yeah, I know that.
So me and Cuba Gooding Jr. get into an on-air, fight, like we're, messing around, and then he grabs me, pulls the jersey over my head, and then throws me across the ice. And then, of course, we did a cutaway of me spinning on the ice and scoring a goal. And the red light goes off. We actually did use that, though, Vic, because we used that in the intro to season 1. That was part of the intro, remember?
That's good.
Throwing me around and stuff.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah. We like tried to turn it into more than just sitting at a computer. And I remember one thing that I shot with Jeff Keighley was the Star Wars Battlefront 1 interview. We shot it at LucasArts, and I went back and forth with one of the PR folks there, who's a friend of mine now, and he's great. But he's like, I don't know, man. You got this huge elaborate thing. You want to pull in all of these developers, and we had the 501st where they were going to come and stormtrooper outfits, and we're going to do a whole battle during the interview. And I said, you want us to just shoot it in front of a TV? Because we'll shoot it just in front of a TV with none of this stuff. But nobody is going to remember that interview at all. But if we shoot this out in the woods with, an army of stormtroopers and all kinds of visual effects and blasts everywhere, people are going to remember that forever. And he said, I don't know. It sounds like it could be super cheesy. And I said, well, it will be cheesy, but it will also be super fun and crazy and memorable. And it's one of the most memorable things that we ever put together. And all the 501st guys were incredible. We had them back for Battlefront 2. I actually had that PR guy from LucasArts call me up and apologize and say, you were so right.
And George loved it.
And they played it in company meetings, and George Lucas saw that and a ton of the other Star Wars stuff that we did, because we were making these video love letters, man. Like
there were homages to George.
There was no YouTube, fan films every week and all the other stuff that started to erupt kind of. And it was a question of timing and passion and everything, but we were kind of singular out there, especially in TV. In the middle of one of an EP interviews, a lightsaber battle might break out.
That's so awesome.
And it was pretty random and awesome. And very grateful that we had a chance to do all that. It was a pretty cool it was a lot of work, but it was a cool responsibility and a cool opportunity to be there to do all of that stuff.
I had a question about Jeff Keighley, right? So you guys have a history, right?
Yes,
Together?
yes.
You know, I was going to say, Jeff, a lot of people don't know this, but Vic hired Jeff to do, like, that was his first TV on-air gig.
Yeah.
And Vic, I have a question for you. Are you at all mad or jealous that Jeff was in Death Stranding and you were
Well, he's in Death Stranding, but I made the making of Metal Gear Solid 4. So I don't get jealous, man. Like I've had so many great opportunities. So like honestly, I didn't know when I started EP if this was going to be like a cable access show that lasted one season or I had no idea, and slowly but surely we broke down a lot of doors and made some great partnerships and relationships, and we were able to grow it. And, the thing with Jeff is that Jeff actually was already a journalist in games well before I hired him. He just hadn't done a lot of camera work.
TV stuff,
But he endorsed EP. He was in our pitch packet in the 90s because he was a journalist writing out of Toronto. And we'd sent him some of the early EP demo stuff, and he wrote us a nice note that we attached to our early EP info packets so that people would find out about the show. So I've known Jeff, the full. I met him at E3 '95, and then when I brought him on board, he was obviously a natural, and he's a real smart, shrewd go-getter, just like Tommy is, and understands a whole aspect of. Business and put all of these visions together. I'm incredibly proud of him. I mean, that's the biggest win out of this whole thing for me. And Tommy knows this, but I was completely freaked out when Video Games Live was taking off, and Tommy had to make the call that he just couldn't commit the time to make EP and reviews on the run at the time. And I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I'd already done like 12, 13 years. With Tommy, and I was like, what? And there, new content needed to be made. And so I slowly started to spiral out and try all kinds of different people, and it worked out. But it was freaky. And Jeff was one of those people that I was able to call on to kind of bring into the fold. But then I got to work with amazing people: Julie Stouffer and Jade Raymond and Scott Jones and Marissa Roberto and Steve Tilley and Ben Silverman and Jose Sanchez and Raju and Sean, like just incredible. The list is huge, and that's all the people in front of the camera. There's also lots and lots of extraordinary talents behind the camera.
Well, the story I like to always tell, though, is that before she was a massive mega movie superstar, but Evangeline Lilly from Lord of the Rings, from Lost, from Ant-Man. Before that, she was one of the women on our show before she was discovered. Vic discovered her first.
I was auditioning. That is
true. That was a good find.
Correspondent with EP because we had her as and she was actually on Jimmy Kimmel when she first started her career on Lost. They ran clips of Judgment Day with her shoulders with Tommy and I talking underneath.
And she was so embarrassed that she was on this cheesy video game show.
She was, but her role was about to expand because she was awesome and she was such a cool person, and she had a natural innate ability to she came with a lot of curiosity and obvious talent and smarts. And I felt embarrassed that that's the only way that we were employing her. And so I was actually auditioning her. I have an audition tape somewhere of me, getting her to ask questions.
Going up tomorrow.
It's like blackmail.
Think of her.
Blackmail.
Yeah. But I tried to hire her again, and her agent said, no, she doesn't do non-union gigs because we were a non-union show. And I said, she must have got some cool commercial or something. And then I was on a flight across the country, and I opened up a magazine, I think it was Newsweek, and there's a full page ad of Lost with Evangeline Lilly, and I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's cool.
You're a good judge of character, man.
Yeah, man.
I think that's probably the area that I've had the most success. I've been able to Really pick amazing people, you know, and I miss them like crazy. You guys are very fortunate to be able to collaborate and share your passion for this and thoughts around this stuff. I feel like that's what we really were able to do, is like bring an incredible collective of people with different ideas and different perspectives. And we worked together to build something that was very special and inclusive. And it was because all of these different visions and ideas were sort of bouncing around all the time, you know? And yeah, so protect that, because, you know, all kinds of things can kind of change your course through making things, but it's that group that you get to. And Tommy kind of has found that again. I think that you had that again with Video Games Live, but now with Intellivision, it's probably even.
I mean, we're bringing the, you know, getting the band back together, right? I mean, we have four, six, including me, 5 others, including myself, 6 total of the original Earthworm Jim team, all work for Intellivision right now, you know, and there's such an incredibly talented group of people, but programmers I worked with 30 years ago and sales and marketing people that I worked with 20 years ago or something. And it's such a comforting thing to have a group of people that, you know, are all, you know, AAA rock stars in their own right. And to bring everyone together in that same thing to create something new and unique. And we want to bring something beautiful and unique and fun to the world. And everybody's as passionate as I am. But yeah, bringing that back, man, this is, you know, I concur with Vic. The 5 of you guys, you know,
Tommy,
you're enjoy it.
Have you considered, Tommy? Have you considered having Earthworm Jim as your like the mascot for the Amico?
Yeah, you know, it's you know, our system is very, you know, it's all about families and this and that. So, you know, Earthworm Jim's great for the retro, you know, more, well, we call it retro now, but you know, it could be something we'll have to see when the game comes out, this and that. You know, like Crash Bandicoot. Yes. If you remember,
good example.
was never originally the face of PlayStation. Right. It was a game that Naughty Dog did through Universal. In fact, the guy who did that deal, Phil Adam, is my VP of business development. And so if you recall, the game came out, it was widely popular. And then then Sony came in, bought the company and bought the rights to the character, but Universal owned that originally. So you know, you never know. We'll see how it goes. But we actually do have a kind of a secret weapon that we haven't told anyone about
until now.
A character that is going to be part of the Amico world. That's not the Running Man. The Running Man's the old that's like the icon for the company Intellivision.
Is it that Tron statue in the background? It's Jared Leto in Tron Ares.
I heard of it.
Yes.
We're getting a new Matrix movie. We're getting another Tron movie. I mean, things are going to be good. I hear there's an Indiana Jones in the works.
It's 1999 all over.
Pandemic, get out of the way so Harrison Ford can complete his Indiana Jones journey.
I know. Hopefully he doesn't phone it in like he did on 4.
Yeah. I still like this stuff. I like this stuff. I might be alone on that. But I love. I don't. Do you guys know that I like Harrison Ford?
I had no idea. I have some questions from the chat.
But I had another question. Quick one.
Let me ask
you guys gonna fight for the questions?
I gotta ask.
Let me ask a question from
I gotta
the
ask
chat.
like 2.
Quick questions.
They've been waiting. The chat's
All right.
been waiting.
The chat's been waiting for a
Will
while.
there be?
And this guy just
Will there be an Earthworm Jim cartoon? Quick question.
Oh, I don't control the rights to Earthworm Jim, so I honestly don't know. I know that Doug has put out an comic book last year. It was just the one of the most highest quality graphic novel comic books I've ever seen in my life. And just today, he started a Kickstarter for Earthworm
I
Jim.
actually saw that today. I saw that today, actually.
What is it?
Yes, I did.
And he got his
What is it?
Earthworm Jim comic book.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, #2 comic book, and he did it on Kickstarter this
It looks
time,
good.
and he
gonna,
hit the goal in 16 minutes.
Wow, that's crazy.
No, it looks really. The art is amazing in
I'm
that.
back in that.
Really amazing.
Nice.
But Chuck,
All right,
chat.
So we got chat questions. All right, first from Go Game Go Share.
Yeah.
When are we getting the breakout demo on the Amico Club?
Okay, so that's a great question. So we just put out the Moon Patrol app. So if everyone goes and downloads Amico Club, you can play the whole first level of Moon Patrol. It's really fun. It's really cool. And so we're gonna leave that one up for a while, and then maybe a month or two, we're gonna change out some stuff and add stuff all the time. So we don't have a specific date for that one just yet, but definitely by the end of the year, I would imagine.
Okay. Another
Yeah.
question. Will Vic be getting a free signed Amico anytime soon?
That was my
You
question.
bought one, didn't you?
A free signed
did you-
Amico? No.
No, did you get one of the Founders editions?
No. I'm waiting
Oh,
for you
you
to send me.
suck.
I'm waiting for the Canadian.
Then the answer to that question is no.
They sold out beforehand. He tried. He tried.
Yeah, they sold out, man.
We'll get Vic hooked up. He has to join the Amico shill group. So we'll get Vic hooked up with the machine, even though he can afford to get one on his own. That's okay.
We should make an EP in television. We should make an EP
Yes.
branded in television.
That's a good
That would
idea.
be-
There you go.
That's
That
a
would be
great
Do it.
idea.
Special skin.
Yes.
The new sweepstakes.
Yep.
That's an awesome
I like-
idea.
that's actually.
It's a picture of you and I in the hot
Yeah.
tub.
Yes. Yeah.
Right as you turn it on.
Right under the controllers.
Yes.
Right
On
under
the
the controllers.
controllers.
Yes.
But you need to say it right. It was a bubble bath.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Two at a time.
Is Kaboom coming to the Amico?
It's on our to-do list. We don't have the rights to it yet, but we have this big list of what we want to do in the future. Kaboom's on there, but we haven't officially announced it. We don't have the rights to it yet, but it's one of the ones that we'd like to see eventually.
Okay. Can either of you give some insight or understanding as to how the pandemic has altered development of upcoming games?
Well, I mean, I can tell you. I'll start, Vic. For my personal experiences, with Amico, not only is it doesn't affect our games as much as it does the hardware because of distribution, and components are now more expensive, and there's backlog in China still, and there's compliance issues. Every country that we come out with has the United States just alone has 25 different compliance things, whether it's UL tested for the, if it emits an electric signal, there's a whole thing. And then of course Canada, and they have their laws and their things where, you have to have French on every single thing that's sold in Canada. So there's so many different, things that kind of, factored into pushing Amico, our launch, into a spring of 2021. From a game perspective, the thing about games is that, yes, you can work on games remotely. An artist can do art, a musician can do sound, a programmer can do programming. But guys, I got to tell you, from working on 350 games in my career, there's a certain magic that happens when people are in a room together creating. Like we couldn't have created Earthworm Jim, the original one, if we were all in separate locations, because that game is a perfect example.
Modems back then too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that we didn't even have a game design document for Earthworm Jim 1 or 2. None of the games we worked on had game design documents. this is what we would do. We would come to work every day and we would try to make each other laugh. That's what we do. We'd get together and say, what's funny? And we designed the game around the jokes. You know, somebody would say, gosh, you know, what if we had a chicken and we like launched, because chickens are funny. What if we launched a chicken up in the air and and I'd say, well, that makes a funny sound too. Like, you know, every level you would see the chicken just like, you know, flying through the air. Like, wouldn't that be? And then I forget who said it, and somebody said, oh no, wait. You know what's even more funny? Because chickens, yeah, they could kind of fly, or you could what if we did like a cow? Oh my God. And then I'd say like, oh my God, cows make even funnier sound. Moo, you know. And then somebody said, what if we launched him into the air? Well, how are we going to launch him into the air? I don't know. What if he was on like a toddler? Wait, what if he's in a junkyard and there's this big, big refrigerator? And then the joke was there. And then we created the game, the level, and the first experience around the joke. And
I think EA should make the next Madden exactly the way that they did.
and so when we're designing, when the original team got back together and we're designing Earthworm Jim 4, we're using the same exact formula, which is, you know, because people say, oh, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Look, we have pages of jokes, and now we're going to start taking those jokes and creating these games in a way that we could never do it before because of this unique controller, you know, the lights and a touchscreen. And imagine all the funny gags we could do where everybody has their own controller with force feedback and a touch screen and a disc and colors light up. I mean, the jokes we're writing just for this controller are pretty hilarious. So that's what we're excited about. But yeah, you know, so I think that's the real answer to the question is the real creativity really comes when you're in a room together, you know?
Yeah. I think the technical aspects are being handled by the studios. You know, they're outfitting people with encryption and awesome hardware and comfortable chairs and, you know, all the stuff that you physically would need. But I think what is definitely being felt around the industry is that you know, physical connection to your friends and the spitballing sort of aspects that honestly I think does create a lot of the magic that goes into games. Now, we're not playing those games yet. We're not playing the games that have gone all the way through the pandemic. They're like, you know, there's a lot of games that are being finished that way. And when a game is being finished, it's a very different game than, you know, what is sort of,
what the goals are.
Yes. So it's going to be very interesting to see the 2021 and 2022 titles and hear the stories of how the teams overcame distance and put all of this stuff together. But, you know, I think we're months away from at least smaller groups being able to kind of get together.
You know, another great comparison and example, which everyone will understand easily, is that, like, if you're in a band, you could record a song together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could record a song separately, right? The Beach Boys did it, you know, back in the day. But you know, the bass player could be in Chicago, and the guitar player could be in LA, and the singer could be in Boston, and you know, you could record an entire album that way. But when people are in the room together, creating and recording together, man, that's magic that you can't recreate. And games are kind of a little bit like that as well. You know?
I don't think Ghost of Tsushima or The Last of Us Part 2 would be the quality entertainments that they are if they were fully made during this kind of work from home kind of scenario. You know, I think they both finished in that reality, and that must have been hard. But if they had started that way, because especially Last of Us Part 2, which I know, you know, is not everybody's favorite game, and there's a lot of people that are up in arms about it, but it's hard to sort of argue with the artistic kind of qualities of it and the risk taking that's a part of it. how would you do that if it was all Zoom
Yeah,
call?
you can't do that. You
No,
can't
no
do
way.
that type of.
I heard there was
activity in
big
there.
changes in that also, but
Yeah.
who's to say what would have
Yeah.
happened? But I mean, I liked it.
Yeah, to me that's a masterpiece. Still.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
A lot of people just came in the chat from they were listening to the Amico All Access, which was going on live at the same time. It's a great. Please check out OBE Pete and OEB Pete and all those guys who do the Amico All Access is great. So we just got a whole bunch
Shout
of
out.
folks coming in. So hello to Smash JT
What up,
and
Smash?
Shout out.
Let's just have a big shout out to the
National
chat.
Advisory Board is unbelievable. And shout out to Christian Martin, by the way. You have, he's also AKA C-Mart. But Christian Martin, you guys have in the chat right now, and he's been in here since the beginning. He's a Canadian. Vic, he's a Vancouverian. Vancouverian? I don't know how.
Vancouverian.
Christian is hands down the biggest intellivision collector on the planet Earth.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not even exaggerating. And he's got stuff that only he has.
How come he's not working
Yeah.
for you?
Wait, I'm gonna be going up to Vancouver at some point, and I definitely want to we'll have a get together, Vic. We're gonna have a big Intellivision day because OEB Pete's in Vancouver. So many big Amico contributors and fans are up there.
I had
in
no idea.
Vancouver.
That's incredible.
So
Yeah,
we'll have to come by.
hopefully we'll have a live space again. Well, if you can fly, then there'll probably be a chance for us to have some kind of a live venue type thing, and it would be great to for you to bring hardware and let people kind of mill about and play the games, and we could talk about it, and that'd be awesome.
Worst
That'd be
case
super.
scenario, guys, you could just come here. That's completely fine. We'll,
Yeah.
Jersey,
There's room.
my Jersey
You
boys.
know?
Sneak across the border.
Yeah, we'll sneak
Yeah.
across the border.
It's not hard. It's
It's
not hard.
We got you.
Canada, you can do it.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Big Chalk got you, man. He
Yeah.
knows what's going on.
Yeah.
We'll come pick you up. It's fine.
Wait, what?
That's right.
That's the last place we
You
visited.
guys are in New
Canada.
York?
Yeah.
Like before this whole thing happened.
Before the pandemic,
Yeah.
the
What part of Canada were you guys? Did you
Montreal.
Toronto?
Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh, Montreal. Did you have some poutine?
It's fries with gravy.
guys. It's calm
How
down.
about
It's
poutine?
fries with
I didn't have
gravy.
it.
Yo, that just sounds like some shit. Yo, I was just like,
I know what it is.
Oh, I know you thought I was saying.
I have, yes.
I know you thought I was saying.
yo, I thought I was being interrogated. I'm like, wait, what? What happened?
Derailed.
It's a very innocuous food item, but if Tommy
yeah,
Tallarico
you
was
guys-
saying we're poutine,
You guys-
Poutine is
St.
French fries
Catharines
with gravy.
Boulevard. Get some of that poutine.
Yeah.
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 Yo,
Everything was
Tommy,
closed.
Tommy just set us a
Come on,
trap.
there might be some good Canadian clean people watching this right now.
Yeah.
Ease up on that.
For those,
Yo, that was a trap. He set us a trap right
those
there.
of you
Fries
out
with
there-
gravy, guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fries with gravy. It's their
We'll go with
it's
that.
their dish.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
It's their dish.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
That's what he meant.
Damn, y'all look guilty as hell right now.
Listen,
It's a family
bars-
podcast.
I would be the worst witness to any murder. I swear to God. I would be the worst.
all the bars were closed down. Everything was shutting down.
Yeah.
Except
no,
for like 2 bars were open.
Big chocolate turned cream.
You're so red now. How are you red?
What happened?
That's when I'm hot.
Hot chocolate. We got him hot chocolate right now. Hot chocolate.
There you go.